connecting to YouTube. And we are connected to YouTube, so we're live there if you want to share it. And then we're connecting to Facebook right now.
All right, I am sharing it to Twitter.
I shall share it to Facebook.
Mm-hmm. And we want to say thanks to anyone who might be joining us. We got great show for you today. We've got Javier still in Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico.
I wanted to say it with the accent, but...
So, do not break into his house. There are still...
Big dogs.
Big dogs, armed guards.
Yep. John Stiles.
John Stiles. Well, you said.
I don't even know that you should have put that in the criminals' heads. But... All right. And then here we go. So we are live on Facebook, too. So if anyone wants to share that.
Of course I am.
Of course.
But I don't see us yet.
Hit that old refresh. Let's see. And we are rolling. Amy, can you say something on your mic again?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hi, Gabe.
Let's share. I can hear you, but I think. Let's see. Can you try one more?
1, 2, 3. Are you missing?
I gotcha.
You got me now?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Okay, Brian.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Gotcha. And Allison.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Best one you've ever done. Thank you. All right.
She can't hear you. So.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
He gives you best you've ever done.
Yeah.
Best sound test. Yeah.
Best sound
All
test
right.
ever.
Okay, so very good. We are good to go. I'll start the commercial.
Support for Wrong About Everything comes from Minnesota's credit unions. Credit unions are locally based, member-owned financial cooperatives that return earnings to members through higher savings rates, lower loan rates, and reduced fees. Visit mncun.org for more information.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Wrong About Everything podcast. I am GOP strategist and Twin City Sugar, Brian McDaniel.
That was the drop? That
There
was the
wasn't
pause?
a drop.
You were just messing.
I thought we
just
were doing
being
it at the
messed
end.
with?
Oh, no.
I thought we said the
No.
end. I'm sorry.
Gabe and I did not communicate. That's fine.
All right. This is
Men
not
can't-
my fault, Amy Koch.
This is Allison, who is not surprised by men being unable to communicate Nessie.
And we are
Wrong about everything.
Well,
that would have been fun.
that would have been
We'll
fun.
get it at the end.
We'll get it at the end. Well, anyway, we apologize for starting a little bit late today. Today has been a day, but it is snowy, it is trafficy, it was busy in
It
the
is my
office,
fault.
and it is Allison's fault.
Yeah.
but we are here with you now. So much to talk about here in the Minnesota Credit Union Network studios,
Love
deep
it.
within the recesses of MBC Studios here in Northeast Minneapolis. We have Gabe Noah currently in the studio working on a little bit of a headphone issue, but we appreciate everything he does there. Please check out our website, which is at www.wrongabouteverything-podcast.com. And we're getting great response with our YouTube channel. That is where a lot of stuff is moving now. So please go to our YouTube channel and like and subscribe and all that stuff. And that would be something that we are extremely appreciative of. But you can still find us on YouTube and Facebook, and of course wherever you get your favorite podcasts. But before we get into all the stuff, we want to thank let's go back to that. Okay. We'll go back to our good friends at Bradshaw and Bryant. Their entire team of attorneys and staff is dedicated to providing the legal advice you need, combined with the service and personal attention you deserve. If you have questions about how they can assist you with a personal injury, wrongful death, or criminal defense matter, do not hesitate to contact them. Consultations are always free. Please contact them at 800-770-7008 or at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Nice.
Now, I don't know that they do this kind of law, but we Amy and I and Allison and other people at our firm, we've been talking to a lot of attorneys lately because we have an exciting announcement.
We do. Dun, 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 dun. We've got a new firm.
Yes.
You've probably been hearing for, I don't know, a decade now, or well, a little shorter for you, a little bit for me, but 8 years anyway. That we were political strategists and lobbyists at Hilden Advocacy and Law. Nope, we can change that now. We are Momentum Advocacy.
Momentum Advocacy that has started presently. Amy and I will take over as principals of the firm January 1st.
Team remains the same.
Team
What's up,
remains the same.
bosses?
We of course want to congratulate our friend and mentor Nancy Hilden, who is going off into retirement to have much more fun.
Yep.
I talked to her on the phone today, and I said, "You did not tell me that owning a business contains so much paperwork. I'm tired of it, and it's been a day."
Nancy gets to all her art, and she gets to travel, and she's got a million other projects already working on, no doubt. But
We're very excited to rebrand and start the legislative session in January with a new name, and we're going to have a lot of fun. There's our new logo that
look at there it is
up on there.
Oh, look.
Yep. Giddy
Yep.
up.
We are very excited for our next chapter. So thank you for everyone.
yeah, thanks to everyone who's been great supportive clients, all of that. We love it. We're just moving to the next phase.
Yep. Well, did everyone have a good Thanksgiving?
It was lovely. I hosted the family, or at least part of my family. My immediate family is very, very large, with 5 siblings, and one sister alone is pregnant with her 9th child. But if you didn't know, Erica and Dan, congratulations.
Yeah.
But we had a good crew. We had probably 15, and we did some golf. We played with the golf simulator. We ate food. We went in the hot tub. It was a perfect night for the hot tub.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, it
like
was.
chilly, but the hot tub was hot. And then just as we got out there, a little bit of light snow fell as we were sitting out there.
What a perfect first Thanksgiving in Edina. That's so nice.
Thanks, Edina. That does sound very Edina, doesn't it?
My family is the opposite. We are very small. We are very close, but we were
In size and stature.
in size and stature. I am an only child. I am an only grandchild. So and I do not have children, let alone not being pregnant with 9.
There's
There's a lot of kids.
But we had as many dogs as we did people, and that's the most important thing up in Spooner, Wisconsin, which is beautiful this time of year. So, yeah. What about you, Brian?
I went to my wife's family and with one of her sisters. She has one sister in New York who will be coming back for Christmas, we hope. But we had a great time. I come from a big, loud Chicago family, so I'm used to people trying to kill each other. So it kind of feels like something's missing when there isn't that the element of danger. In a family gathering, but this year was very nice, very calm, very chill, and of course the Chicago Bears found a way to ruin it before we even ate food, but that's okay.
Consistency is important.
Consistency is important. I always say I'm a Republican and a Bears fan, so I am familiar with disappointment. So, but one thing that was not disappointing is that NBC News tells us that Thanksgiving dinner was historically affordable this year, which with all the talk about inflation surprised me a little bit. So I read down the little article right here, and they say that the costs of this year's holiday feast estimated at $58.08
Well, okay, I don't know where they're
okay.
shopping.
for
They were clearly-
for a 10-person gathering.
I think the turkey
total
was
or
that for 15.
total or per person?
No, total.
Come on.
10-person gathering or $5.81 a head. It's dropped 5% since last year, the lowest level since 2021. Well, you're a friend of the program, and your lovely mother
Yeah.
is in the studio.
We have a
with us.
live studio guest.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
very
I'm
excited.
Yes.
going to apologize ahead of time, but that's some bullshit right there because 58. Why? And coming off the election where misinformation and disinformation hits everybody from all sides, and you can just smell the bullshit coming out of everyone's mouth. Why on earth are they trying to tell us that you could have a 10-person Thanksgiving
$58.
$58? That is offensive to me. I mean, I'm sure that they can show you how if you find a turkey and if you grow yams in your own backyard, you can maybe do these things. But that's insulting because
insulting.
nobody can do that.
Clearly, they're not making mac and cheese with good cheese. I mean,
Which
mac and cheese
the turkey
cost of
alone
cheese alone.
was $50. I
Yeah.
mean, come on.
For 10 people.
Right. It's just stop it.
I ordered lunch today. It was half that
Yeah.
for feeding one person.
And I don't understand even what the point of this is because no one's believing that.
well,
this is if you look, put it in the comments, whatever. If you could make your Thanksgiving meal for $58, amazing, good for you. But I don't know what you're eating.
Yeah, tip line open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For me. Please tell me.
It's like the opposite of the Butterball hotline.
You
Tell us-
grow
tell
your
us
own
how-
turkey,
Tell us how.
slaughter
yeah.
it in the backyard. And,
Which I mean, Minnesota is the turkey state, but even yeah.
no, how you can feed that turkey? That costs more than $58. You got to plump it
Yeah.
up for a year.
I don't
Come
know.
on.
It's why people are losing faith in the mainstream media because this is just not even plausible. It's why insult people and it's just not true. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Good for everybody there. Speaking of things that aren't true, all the times that Joe Biden said he wasn't going to pardon that kid of his. There was I saw this online
Yeah.
yesterday. All the different times that he made his senior staff emphatically just say, "Stop asking us. We are not going to pardon Hunter Biden."
What happened? He
I told my
pardoned him.
class I teach a class in local politics, and I told them yesterday that this is why politicians never say yes or give definitive yes or no answers, because you never know what the conditions are going to be in 3 months, and committing to something within the unknown creates a situation like this, which the hypocrisy, the flip is just, that's what makes this so
It's
challenging.
Gross. It's gross anyway. So my understanding is that the first president to actually pardon family was Bill Clinton, and he pardoned his brother Roger. So this starts.
And for those of you who are too young to know, Roger was a mess. He seemed like a cool guy to hang out with.
He probably was a cool guy to hang out with.
He was a mess. Not even Billy Carter.
Disaster. No, Billy did not get a pardon from Jimmy Carter, who Billy was also notoriously a mess. But
And then Trump pardoned his.
Jared's father,
Father-in-law.
which is so
That's Ambassador.
That's Ambassador Kushner now.
Right. I mean, but first of all, I don't think it helps your cause when your argument is bringing up these. It doesn't. This is very blatant. First of all, everybody knew you were going to do it anyway. Hunter's just got a long list. And this is also interesting. He pardoned him from 2014 through December of 2024. So Hunter can have a real amazing next 3 weeks and get away with whatever he wants because he's got a full pardon.
Here's the.
Don't hang out with him on New Year's Eve.
Donald Trump has been running for 6 years. I mean, the Republicans have weaponized the name Hunter Biden with corruption. It's synonymous. It's saying Hunter Biden, the Biden crime family. Hunter Biden is synonymous with just everything that's wrong that the GOP has, Trump specifically, going after Biden. And he has promised over the past 4 years that if he is reelected, he will use the DOJ and all weapons available to him to go after Hunter Biden. Explicitly stated that. And what has changed between July, when he first started saying no, to now is that Trump won. And there's a lot of animosity, I would say, between Biden and just I think a feeling that if he had been the nominee, he probably would have won. That's his feeling, and a little bit of an F you.
It is incorrect.
I do not agree with that, but it's a fuck you out the door. I'm going to protect my kid. I don't care. And while I can rationalize it, it's the explicit flip-flop and the explicit no to yes. And also his rationale that he said was saying that, Hunter would have never faced the severity of these charges if he had a different last name. That is feeding into the BS and the lack of trust in the Department of Justice and the FBI, which they have tried to be kind of objective and say, I'm not going to interfere with the special investigation. The special counsel are looking into this. But he said he sounded exactly like Trump talking about the Department of Justice and the FBI, and I'm pissed.
Yeah, well, and also remember, Hunter received a sweetheart deal that a judge said, whoa. So
that's what I mean.
And we're being told that there was no influence there. They cut the deal, and then no one believed that at the time. And now we have this.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, you're right. It's a good way to say it is that the Republicans have weaponized Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden's laptop. What does that mean to you? That means drugs, cocaine, China.
Well, and guns. So
Guns,
he weaponized himself by
Bribes.
by the gun charges.
Bribes.
But
Underqualified positions.
But the flip side of that, and why hey, I'm a creature of the swamp. I get it. Pardon your kid. I get it.
I've also heard from dads that just were like, yeah, I get it. To protect my son.
Why be president if you can't do stuff like that? I don't know. For the good of the world? That's weird. But no, I get it. But the Democrats also have been, as they've been poo-pooing whether they were going to, whether Hunter was going to get his pardon, they were saying, we're better than Trump. We wouldn't do that. We don't do the things that Trump does because Trump's a POS and we are good people.
Yeah.
And that's fine and dandy and well and good. You kind of can't ignore a lot of the stuff that Trump says and does and has done. But now this is a slap in the face to every Democrat who has said, we're not like Trump. We're better than Trump. We don't do the things that Trump does. So Biden made his staff ultimately now look like liars. Probably they weren't lying at the time. They probably were told what to say. And there was an interesting tweet Allison and I talked about during the week. I won't obviously say who tweeted it, but it was somebody saying, well, why should we have to follow the law? The Republicans don't follow the law. And a state representative responded to that and said, because the Republicans don't, that's exactly why we need to. And that's the correct, I'm not saying the Republicans just break the law, but that's the correct term, is if your opponent is, what do they say? When they go low, we go high. Isn't that what Michelle Obama said?
Yeah, that was
this
like
was just
8 years
going
ago.
low.
Things have changed.
Things have changed. There's a great old show. It was on HBO. Kelsey Grammer played an old school Chicago mayor, and it's called Boss. It's a great show. It was two seasons. One season was great, and one season kind of stunk. But in it, Kelsey Grammer says people don't change, but circumstances do. And I think that's a good way. I use that all the time because in politics that comes up all the time. That never speak in absolutes because
That was
That's
the
what
other
I'm saying.
thing
You
too.
can't. An absolute
Why didn't
no.
they have a better answer for that? Why was it? I think everybody knew it was going to happen anyway. So why not hedge for that? Like the idea like you said, I don't think the staff were lying. I'm sure they were told, no, it won't happen.
Yeah.
He's saying it won't happen. The president is saying it won't happen.
Well, and
nobody believed it.
Allison might have said this, and so I apologize if I'm just.
Oh, you weren't listening
If I'm
to
just.
me?
I was.
Thank you.
I was just waiting for my turn to talk.
Yeah.
But and now you made me forget what I was going to say.
Perfect.
Thanks.
What I was going to say
Thanks,
is,
Allison.
no, when you espouse morality and values and higher, you have a higher, you fall further when you do not meet that, when you contradict that. And I mean, electeds do this all the time. It's like when you espouse homosexuality and you find out you're in you're having homosexual relations, it's a bigger deal than just the reality of it.
It's the hypocrisy.
It's the hypocrisy of it. And Democrats have a tendency to be a slightly pompous, a little bit, with our morals and our values and being better than and law abiding. So it it stings.
Well, almost the entire race was like Trump is corrupt.
Yes.
Trump is swampy. Trump
Yep.
favors for his friends, and all of that has truth to it.
It's
but then
not
you
wrong.
go and do it, and it says. And I
Yeah.
just think also like American people. I know you were like, "Well, I'm not surprised it happens because you're a creature of the swamp." I still go, can't we do better?
Well, see, Trump,
Aren't we better
Yeah.
than that?
Trump-
I
Aren't
hope
we
so.
better than that?
Trump
Yeah.
spent his first 4 years emptying the swamp. He said, I'm going to drain the swamp. He drained the swamp, but now he's filling it back in. But he's just filling it back in with Kushners and people from Florida. So,
So many Florida.
so many Florida.
So many swamp
I
creatures.
mean, I know we're going to
That's
get to that a little bit more later. but
Yeah, but in any event, what I was going to say before I lost my train of thought was that Biden, doesn't probably feel that he owes the Democrats.
I
very
don't think
much.
he feels he owes them shit.
So,
no.
so
Sorry for the swearing.
He played ball. He played ball
Sorry,
for a while,
man.
and now, he might not even remember that he had said these things, which is a segue to the Boston Celtics. Went to the White House. They won the NBA championship last season, and at the the event where Biden gets the Celtics jersey that says Biden 46 on it or whatever it says. He kind of forgot which team was there, so he
Right.
said, "You guys are the Celtics, right?"
To the White House. I didn't know any of these guys behind me, but they just showed up. I don't know where the hell they came from.
he meant that.
2024 NBA champions, the Bulls. The Celtics, right? The Boston Celtics.
Oh my God, he's old.
He is.
He tried to make a joke,
He is old,
and then he
But-
kind of forgot. But he also has a stutter. Can
But
we say-
but so I'm willing to believe that he was trying to make a joke that he stumbled over. But then also a little bit later, he let
Yeah.
them all know that his Secret Service code name was Celtic, which is probably not something that you're supposed to be telling everybody.
he doesn't care anymore.
No, he doesn't.
he doesn't. We've established this. It's consistent.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah. No. Well,
Seemed like such a good idea 6 months ago, didn't it?
it's almost over. It's almost done. It's almost done.
right.
A couple other things that are popping up. So now it's looking more and more. So Matt Gaetz, I can't remember. So we weren't on last Wednesday because it was the day before. It was Thanksgiving Eve. So I'm not quite sure when all these things happened. But Matt Gaetz has withdrawn from his.
He was
trying to
He
be
was
Attorney
not
General.
going to be
He
confirmed
was
by the
not gonna be
Senate. The
confirmed.
pressure was on.
And now Minnesota's own Pete Hegseth, who was up for Secretary of Defense, it's looking more and more. I mean, his mom has been brought into this because she had sent him a letter that was
It talked about his abuse of women,
Abuse
and
of
that
women,
that he lied about it, and then it was a horrible email. Which now folks are saying she then felt bad about it and retracted it, but ooh, that's just it's bad. And there's other things going on with that. The talk is that. Is it true? Governor Ron DeSantis, may
might be the
picked?
next man up, which makes
What
no
is that?
sense to
How
me.
can that be? What is his
Why?
background at all in the military?
Well,
He was in the Navy for 6 years.
No.
He was like a legal.
okay,
so-
I was in the Air Force.
But
for a while.
he was like, I'm not. Why am I defending Ron DeSantis?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
And I wasn't going to say he couldn't do the job.
He was a legal advisor to SEAL Team 1. I mean, like, he has more, frankly, in my opinion, more credentials than Pete Hegseth.
Well, no, Pete had combat experience.
I understand that. But so does Ron
what-
DeSantis. He's been deployed twice. He's served. I mean, and he's actually
As a legal advisor, I mean,
well,
he was in the.
I'm not capping on that. I was a linguist for the U.S. Air Force.
I'm just
There's
saying
a
at
difference
least-
between what I did
Yeah.
and what combat experience is, and I never like to meld the two because it's stolen valor, and I
That's
won't
true.
do it. I served I'm very proud of my service. Served at the NSA. Very very proud that I served, but it is not the same as a combat veteran.
Well, my point was going to be pretty different because I think it doesn't make any sense for Ron DeSantis to do it.
Well, that I agree.
Because kind of my thought is that Ron DeSantis was gonna be governor of Florida for the next 4 years, and that
maybe
he was
run.
going to run for president himself, and be pretty well positioned to do that.
This right now is just a rumor, by the way. At this point, Trump is not withdrawn his support for Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth has not stepped back from the position and is, as we can tell, moving ahead with the things he has to do for Senate confirmation.
Yep.
So we'll wait and see. But another Florida pick, and we were just touching on that. When Matt Gaetz, who was from Florida, stepped down, then Pam Bondi from Florida was selected in replacement.
It's almost as if he has favorites from his favorite state where his favorite house is. It's shocking. And Rick Scott was the mega pick for our Senate Majority Leader. It's there's a theme.
But I get it. This is the reality that we're in. Trump destroyed Marco Rubio. And now Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State. He destroyed Ron DeSantis. And now DeSantis might be Secretary of Defense. I mean, I get it. This is just, Trump has this ability, and, people have found that, there's not much percentage in crossing him. And you can get good stuff by being on his team. But I'm just surprised that anything that's going to happen in the next 4 years, that DeSantis just doesn't want to go down to Florida and have control over his own narrative.
What Trump was very clear about, he did that Joe Rogan interview, which I listened to the whole 3 hours of it. And I thought it was actually a very good interview. And he was very clear that when he first took office in 2016, he knew no one. He had been to Washington a handful of times. He didn't know anyone. And he was taking suggestions for all these cabinet positions from people that he knew, that he thought he trusted, but that the people that he put in place were not really his people. And now he's just gone. He was going to, in this round, put his people in place.
Yeah,
and
I liked the latter. I liked the first one.
Howdy has he. He is really doubling and tripling down on that.
And I apologize for not following the run sheet here, but while we're still kind of on the national/international, what the hell is going on in South Korea and France?
Oh, I know what's going on in France, but I don't really know what's going on.
Right. So voter no confidence today. And that was largely based on the prime minister calling an election very early, trying to...
Making a wrong choice is what he did.
Making a wrong choice.
Because I think his idea was that he felt like the right was getting too much of a toehold. And so I don't know what he was thinking. So, this is happening. Public sentiment is moving this way. So I'm going to call for an election?
Yep.
What? And now what he's got is the right and his own flank on the very far left have come together and voted no confidence.
Yeah.
Because the spectrum meets at the end.
It does. Sometimes you can go so far to the left that you come back around.
Sometimes they sound the same.
Yeah. So now Macron can't call for new elections until July, which means they have a budget crisis like a lot of places do, and now they kind of don't have a government in place to really go forward with. So that's something you don't. Anytime something's destabilized like that, it's not good.
France never overreacts, right? So.
Those feelings.
But
it's so you know what? It's so French. Yeah. They're like the left wants the retirement age back to 62. The right wants not Macron. They found their common enemy. They agree on nothing.
Now you guys were there around Olympics time. Was there any feeling of ill will in the air when you were there? Or?
No, it was pretty lovely. Although Paris was quieter because everybody's gone for the summer.
But. Yeah, it was August, so it was.
And they just finished the Olympics. We caught the very tail end. We went to the bronze medal women's soccer match. But so it was really winding down. By the time we got
but no, everyone was. I was waiting to meet a rude Parisian, and I didn't come across.
I was stunned because I've been to Paris and I've met the rude Parisians, and we couldn't find a single one.
Not a single one. No.
Lovely.
And only incredibly kind and welcoming.
Maybe this thing. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, huge mistake on the part of
our studio guest. My mother and I did see Les Mis last week, so this feels very,
Okay, right.
I live a revolution.
Well, my daughter is at Eastview High School right now,
yes.
where they are practicing Les Mis.
Whore number 2.
Yeah, no, she doesn't have a number.
Oh,
in fact,
just whore.
Because she's a freshman, so she was very excited to be in the ensemble. And then she called me the next day from school, and she goes, "Dad, I got promoted to whore."
Ah, God, I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, very proud.
But it's Pouton.
Yeah. And then I heard her boyfriend, but when she was on the phone, he goes, "I'm so disappointed." And she goes, "Support local businesses." So anyway,
It should be sex. I mean, it should be sex workers.
she's a McDaniel. But in any event, so moving on to state stuff before we kind of get into Minnesota stuff, and this is there's a Minnesota angle to this too, but and this is wild and horrible. But the CEO of United Healthcare, which is part of United Health Group, which is a Minnesota based business, it's the fourth largest company in the United States of America, so Brian Thompson is the CEO of United Healthcare, and he was murdered. I want to say in broad daylight, but it was early enough that it probably was dark. But he was murdered in New York City, and this was not a random thing. This was something where somebody, a masked person, was lying in wait and shot him. And he died shortly thereafter. He is Minnesotan. He lives in the western suburbs. He's a husband and husband and father of two. And we don't know. They're saying that, they're coming out and they're saying absolutely this is not a random thing. This is something that they're investigating as a planned murder.
Yeah.
We don't know the motivation of it yet, but it's, the further unraveling of society that, depending on what this is about, if all of a sudden we're taking shots at presidents, we're taking shots at senators and reps, we're taking shots at businesses that we don't like, it's getting to be a scary time.
Yeah, no, they did. Police did release the footage, and I did watch it. It is, and we are headed to New York tomorrow morning, so I was a little worried, and then when I realized it was that was not a random act of violence. That was an assassination.
At least 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was a hit.
He walks out in front, and the hooded person walks behind, shoots him.
Yep.
Hit him in the back, hit him in the leg, shot. It walks towards. You see him fall right away.
Yeah.
He keeps walking towards him, shooting. There's some other person that is comes into this, is standing there and runs away, but didn't shoot at that other person, didn't make a move, didn't even look at the other person.
That was
it was clearly intended. For Brian Thompson.
Minnesota is actually one of the few states where our kind of corporate leaders don't need security. But that will probably change. I think in a lot of other places, most C-suite, high-level executives do travel with a security envoy, and most Minnesota companies don't. But that's probably won't be the case moving forward.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz called Thompson's death a terrible loss for the business and healthcare community in Minnesota. I think that Klobuchar, our senator, had a little bit of a better statement. "This is horrifying and shocking act of violence. My thoughts are with Brian Thompson's family and loved ones, and all those working at United Healthcare in Minnesota." Let's never forget that yes, this person was fabulously wealthy for a huge corporation, but at the end of the day, he was a husband and father, and a pretty decently young guy. His picture is up there. So this is something that we're going to find out a lot more about, and it's just it's a very scary thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation of motives just based off of the nature of insurance.
The suspect is still at large as of this evening. So it happened at 6:45 this morning.
Yeah.
It's still at large.
Yeah, I think it would be irresponsible to try to decide why. At this point.
We don't know why. We don't know if it's an employee that or a former employee, a personal issue, money. Who knows? But we'll find out, and it's terrible. November forecast.
Wow! So came out today,
and what the November forecast is for
we should. For people for the nerds listening,
who maybe the not quite as initiated or swampy as us. So in November and in February, the state does a budget forecast, which then the legislature uses to determine how much money do they have or not have as they go into the legislative session. The November forecast comes out in very early December. It came out this morning, and was not terribly rosy. We have had
Much worse.
We've
Could
had
be worse.
we've had much worse, but recently we've had a lot better with a lot of federal money coming in because of the COVID dollars and all of that, and basically a lot of our numbers were up for a variety of reasons. But now we might have kind of hit the top of the mountain, and now we're going to be coming down the other side. So we have a very small surplus going into this next legislative session. But as you get to the out years after that, we start getting into the very big.
And it has been well over a decade. So the last the last deficit we had was 2011.
What happened then, Amy?
The very
Yeah,
bad
Amy.
time. As
the
Senate
Amy Koch
Majority Leader.
shutdown?
Nope. But we had a I think we had a $6.2 billion
Yeah.
deficit in November. It got a little smaller. I think we were excited because it went to like $5.7 billion. So the largest deficit in state history was 2011.
Yep.
By the fall, we had grown without raising taxes and with making sure we kept our purse tight. We actually had a small surplus of about $1 billion. And that was the fall of 2011. My friend Abu likes to say, "Oh, it was 13 after we raised taxes." No, it wasn't Abu. It was fall of 2011.
Hear
Just
that,
so you
Abu?
know.
You're in
Because
Colombia,
I remember
but-
very well. You're
but-
just wrong. And why are you asking me? But anyway, it was fall of 2011. Since then, we have had only surplus.
Yes, we
so
have.
most of those in the legislature have never budgeted in deficit. And this will be this is going to be difficult. I mean, there's not many people even left from the class of 2010 that were elected in 2010 that are still in the legislature. You know, a handful of senators.
Ann Rest is ready.
Ann Rest is ready. Jeremy Miller, 2010. Carla Nelson. In the House, you've got Paul Torkelson. I mean, there's just not a whole lot. Jim Nash, 2000.
He was in
No,
14,
He was
so
14. Yeah,
Greg-
no, never mind. No, not Nash.
David's Torkelson.
Yeah, very few. Hortman.
Hortman.
Hortman was 2010.
Yep.
But
Well, because my first
not
year,
many left.
my first year working as legislative staff in the House was 2000, and then 2001 we had 9/11,
Yep.
and then that just kind of sent the whole country into an economic tailspin. So I can remember then Tim Pawlenty became governor in 2002.
yes.
And right away there was $2 billion, 1 point something
Yep.
bill, which at the time was the largest deficit we'd ever had. And it seemed like absolutely the sky is falling, and things got worse before they got before they got
Now, we do have a
better.
rainy day fund. Some
Yep.
differences, what I'll point out, is in the other thing is because we'd had that string of on again, off again deficits, the rainy day fund had been completely depleted in 2011. We opened it up and there was just a mouse with a little piece of cheese, like a little crumb of cheese. And we're like, oh, there's
The
no
mouse-
money there.
mouse was saying,
the rainy
Education
day-
shifts.
Right, that's it.
An allotment.
Cigarette tax scheme.
fee. Health impact
There was nothing. We had already shifted the
Which
education.
is not a tax, by the way.
They had already
a
shifted
fee.
the education, and by they I mean the DFL legislature and Governor Pawlenty had already done an education shift. They had absolutely emptied. There was $0.00.
LGA has never recovered, by the way.
No.
It was bleak and 5.7 billion.
Well, and for one of those years, I was at the Minnesota Business Partnership, and it was really easy to lobby because it
I
was
feel so
just
old when I think about that. I feel like I'm talking about the Depression, right? Like,
Well, it's, as a junior high school student at the time, it's helpful to get the historical lesson.
in 2011. Yeah.
No, I was in college.
Okay, that's what I.
Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go.
But the Pawlenty years,
Oh, yeah,
cuts,
But the big 11.
I was a grown ass man by then.
No, 2011, we flew our entire our family from around the country, came to go to the Whitefish Chain for a big family reunion,
thing shut
and
down.
nobody could get a fishing license.
Well, that's,
So,
Well, there wouldn't have
talk
been
to
anyone to
former
put you in
Governor
jail
Dayton
anyway.
about that because we had a plan on June 30th.
Well,
We had a deal.
yeah.
for a different deficit, I was working at the Department of Employment and Economic Development, and during one of the shutdowns, because I was deemed a essential employee, which is pretty
Jesus.
ridiculous.
The
But
Essential's doing a lot of heavy lifting.
I had to drive down to Rochester to turn the lights on in a rec center, and then later on I had to drive back down there at the end of the day to
turn it
turn them off.
Oh, so
What
much
a
waste.
fabulous use of public
was
taxpayer dollars. You know, government shutdowns are far more expensive than keeping
They're so
things going.
expensive.
They're so expensive.
They're so expensive.
And I remember that one. That one only got solved because people weren't going to be able to get beer delivered. You remember that?
That was exactly right because
Yep.
Miller Coors had forgotten to renew their license
Yep.
before the shutdown. So then Miller Coors was going to have to be removed and yanked from the shelves because their license had run out. And Minnesotans were furious. And
Because
Governor
that is
Dayton went out.
that is essential.
Governor Dayton
We've
went
learned
out
that.
and he was doing a talking tour, and that came up, and he came back after a day and said, "All right, Amy,
He said,
Kurt."
bork, bork,
No,
bork.
he said, "We're not gonna raise
Here to
taxes.
here,
You win.
you need
We're
the
gonna-
you need the beer.
We're not going to raise taxes." In other budget news, we have an update because former host Karen Moratz did weigh in on the Thanksgiving $58.04.
Ah.
And her daughter Mimi, who we love, made spaghetti dinner for the family, and she believes they came in well under the $58 mark.
I
So,
believe.
there you
Well,
go.
that if you're
that's
not- if you're not-
that's non-traditional.
if it's not the turkey and the fixins, which is what
Yeah.
what NBC was selling us.
I'm just letting you know, Mimi.
Yeah,
served
nope.
spaghetti.
There's
But that would be less.
That is less, and I appreciate that.
Were there 10 of them there?
I do,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't know.
Yeah, Karen.
Karen, if you're listening,
Were there
we
10
need a
of them?
number at the table.
We
Were there
need a
10
per,
Maratzi?
we need a per head count, not a total average. Thank you.
The Marazzi.
Yeah, I think the plural is Marazzi.
Marazzi, yeah. So anyway, I think probably with this economic news, former speaker and kind of current speaker, Melissa Hortman probably is a little happy that she doesn't have to be the only person that says no to her caucus because she's sharing power with Republican leader Dameth, and that is where we are presently. But we're gonna there is a court case that when we've talked about it on the show numerous times down in Scott County, down in the Shakopee area with I think it's 54A, where there was a very narrow margin by which the incumbent Democrat Brad Tabke was able to hold that seat presently. But then also was it 20 or 21? But there's 20 or 21 missing ballots. Now we don't know what they say.
And
So-
Scott County has come out and said
They're gone.
We don't have them.
Yep.
They're lost. We think they were thrown out, recycled, whatever. They're gone.
So what do you do with a problem like Maria there? I mean, what do you do?
I mean, if
And
you're Aaron Paul, the opponent,
Yep.
you're pretty upset. I mean, and again,
Yeah.
because here's
They
the
could
deal.
all be for
20 If
Tabke.
it was a 500 vote margin. Okay, well, 20 votes. It's not good. And by the way, somebody should be held accountable because 21 people's vote is not counted.
Disenfranchised.
It is bad, right? Like, if I vote a straight Mickey Mouse ticket, you don't get to throw my ballot away. That's my ballot. That's the deal. And so, what kind of process was in place where these things were just like, first of all, why are you even having a recycling or shredder or garbage anywhere in the room where you're tabulating ballots? Like, you don't need it. Like, make it a process. It's just, but then to have a race that's that close.
chain of custody issues, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
I talked to people on both sides, and they're like, I don't know how to decide.
So
The courts are gonna
Brad
decide.
Tabke very much. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I'm president. My understanding from someone who knows a lot more than I do about these things, and it's not a satisfying answer. The precedent has been to count the ballots that are there. And that does not feel good.
No,
do not
that's
get
a
me
bad
wrong.
Incentive for somebody to do something wrong.
Correct. So that is my understanding of what has been
And
happening.
we don't
in
know
the
that
past.
anything bad has happened here at all, by the way.
Not
When
at
we
all.
say it, like, we have no idea.
It's the unknown that doesn't
It's the
feel
unknown.
good.
They're going to court. Amy and I were talking to some people who know more about this than we do, and they think that the court is going to be able to whatever they come up with, they're going to come up with relatively soon. But if the courts say that the direction they're going is new election, well, then all of a sudden we have quite the delay, 45 days or 60 days, depending on how exactly they do it and whether they have a primary factored in there, which would then move the House to a Republican majority, 67,
least that
66
timeframe.
for that time frame. So I don't know that that's what the courts are going to say. So really the power and control of the House of Representatives, it
is not
in the bell.
inconsequential.
No,
and the
it's
thing
not.
is, you could say, well, that was basically a 50-50 district. So if you have 20 ballots, 10 for each, it doesn't change the outcome. But you have no way of knowing. There could be 20 votes for Representative Tabke. There could be 20 votes for Aaron Paul. We do not know. And when these things happen, as you said, like, I'm not saying there was any nefarious act being done here, but it certainly has an impact, and it certainly could tell it to somebody else. Well,
Yeah, it could be
nothing-
misfeasance, not malfeasance.
Right,
And
right.
no individual is necessarily that I know of, being looked at as the person who did this. But it's a big deal.
I mean, we're all still bitter over 2000 when they just said stop counting. So
yes.
it's the same feeling.
Yep.
Like it's
Or you had the Franken Coleman race where they voted they counted 3 times and Coleman won every one, and then the fourth one suddenly Franken wins.
There's a second district that looks like it's going to some sort of court case. Probably not as likely to flip, but in the Roseville area, Representative-elect Curtis Johnson may not live in that district. He may not have properly
is being accused.
Yes.
It's a lawsuit brought by his opponent saying that he's
yes.
not living in the district,
Which-
but does not rightfully.
Like in the piece about it, it said that his opponent and whoever was looking into this observed over 60 times from August 31st through November 11th. I'm sorry, stalking much? And by the way, never brought it to the attention in that time.
Well, do you remember the DFL? Who was the state rep? It was a
Bob Barrett.
Republican.
It was Bob Barrett.
Bob Barrett, and the DFL placed a stick and a camera outside the door of his house. If he wanted to talk
I'm
about
not
stalking.
saying
And
one is better
they
than the
filmed
other.
The front door of the home where he was supposed to be staying.
Mow the lawn.
I'm
Bob
not
very-
saying it's
I
okay
knew
in
Bob
either
very well.
case.
Bob
but
was
the
was a good
case that
guy.
we're dealing with right now.
We're not supposed to go back and say stalk much. Is,
Well, yeah,
you know.
that's. I mean, yeah. No.
Well, let's also
Obviously.
remember that
It was a deer cam, right? It was a deer cam and like a stick in the door,
But
and they showed that it hadn't
the
moved.
other
That's right.
The,
I forgot
the
that's
other
you.
Minnesota seat though that
Yeah.
went up for a recount was up in St. Cloud area, 14A or B.
Yeah.
Where the Republican who did not prevail was a woman named Sue Eck.
Yes.
Who I can remember doing lots of winter door knocking for when she ran for Senate up there years ago and was determined to not live there. So
Yes.
this does happen, and then this
it
does happen
does.
from time to time. But that's a pretty blue seat. So even if they say, they're not going to say he doesn't live there, the Republican wins. I don't think that that's necessarily how this goes. But
I don't think that would be the case. But if they can't fill the seat, that creates a.
it does create a little bit
Challenge.
of a vacuum. Moving on, just kind of sticking with elections. So the city of Minneapolis, which has had very spicy mayoral elections, we're at the infant stage of it. So there's nothing necessarily to report now. But current mayor Jacob Fry is running for re-election, and he has multiple people now that have thrown their names in the ring to challenge him. There's Reverend Dwayne Davis. There's a city council person, Emily Koski. There's State Senator Omar Fateh. And these are 3 people who are very legitimate, contenders for winning that. But we got goofy as AF ranked choice voting there, so you really don't know what's going to happen. But I think that probably the more people that get in the race that are of substance and quality, that probably goes in the favor of the sitting mayor Fry. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, but it was very interesting. So Dwayne Davis announced a little while ago, and then both Koski and Fateh were this week.
And
A lot of people in the race. That helps the incumbent, right? It has
I
to help
think so.
Mayor Fry, or no? Just to have
I
sort
think
of a-
with ranked choice voting, it's showing us. That's the thing. Ranked choice voting is so new. It's really only been 5 cycles, which is frankly quite quite new for
Five too many.
yeah, quite new for an election a way to do elections. It is showing, though, that the more candidates that run, it does tend to benefit the incumbent just due to name recognition, and it disperses the first choices, certainly. But I have, worked at the city of Minneapolis for 7 years, been very involved as a Minneapolis resident who is not running for mayor. One of the few, it seems. I am going to keep my opinions to myself because I have relationships with all of them, and frankly, I like pretty much all of them. So, it's with ranked choice voting. It's just it just changes the dynamics completely.
Okay. Yeah, it's just going to be another hot.
How does ranked choice work for those of us who don't know?
Gabe, shut up. Shut up.
That's a separate podcast.
Yeah.
With that
Whole
we're-
podcast to try to explain how it works.
Gabe, good luck.
Is that boring?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, well, it's not even that boring. It's that complicated. But essentially, what it is that you get to vote for more than one person. It's not one person, one vote. You vote for a first choice, a second choice, a third choice, and then and Allison might be able to articulate this better than me, but.
I was going to say this is painful.
Yeah, but essentially is you can game it a little bit, and you kind of say
It's you have, depending on where you live, multiple selections, but you only have one first choice, one second choice, one third choice. And if you look at a spreadsheet of the outcomes or like a visualization, it's like it shows the breakdown of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 votes, and then like the bottom two would be eliminated, and then those ballots. First and second choice get moved to their first and so it's kind of it funnels down to an eventual winner.
Why would they do that?
Their theory behind it is that it kind of removes the necessity of a primary or okay, what am I looking for? It's supposed to make things more democratic, and it's supposed to make elections more positive because you have multiple people that you can vote for. Haven't seen that quite yet.
And what they would think is that if Allison and I are running for mayor, that if there's a supporter of Allison's that she's a strong Allison supporter, but I, Brian McDaniel, might want them to put me second on their ballot, so I'm less likely to say something negative about Allison because I don't want to upset her voter, which is freaking nonsense.
Yep.
By the way, I mean one person, one vote has worked for a very long time. Don't talk to me about the Electoral College. I'm not.
I was just going to say, it's not like our institutions, systems, and structures really appease
just that
one person, one vote.
Just that one. But what we're finding is that Article 2 of the Constitution has all kinds of weird stuff. That's where they have the power to pardon. That's where you have the Electoral College. Ranked choice voting is not in anything because it's nonsense.
Well, women weren't either for a while, so here we are. Changing, evolving, trying new things.
Yeah, well, we get there eventually. All right, well, we're trucking along here. Why don't we move on to plugs? Amy, we'll sit here and wait.
Okay. Well, no, I don't actually. So Brian and I catch us every Tuesday on the BS podcast. I also joined the Al Travis radio show this week on Monday morning at 9:30. So thank you, Al. Has been on a couple times now, and enjoyed that greatly. I will be. On TRT World News, which is in Istanbul and London. I'll be talking about the president of Turkey and his conversations and his close relationship with Elon Musk and what that means for the country
about Eric
of Turkey.
Adams?
I know. What that means for the country of Turkey. So be sure to tune in on that. It's just very interesting what I get to do now.
I hear it's very expensive, Turkey.
Oh, yeah. Over $58. Not that turkey.
Not that.
The country. Anyway, that's really it. It's a little quieter now.
A little quiet, yeah.
A little quieter.
So I don't have anything other than what Amy said. I was at the Mall
Nice.
of America doing some comedy last Wednesday. Yeah. So Allison?
No, normal person.
Normal
Every
person.
week. Just a normal person with a lot of opinions.
How many times have you seen Wicked?
Once. Why do you think I've seen it so many times?
How many times did you try to see Wicked?
Twice.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
That's something.
You can find me at a Wicked viewing.
Or Les Mis.
Or Les Mis. Super excited to go to New York and see a bunch of shows with my mom. There. That's what
That
I'm
is gonna
doing.
be
Plug.
Plug.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Spanks and Thanks. Who would like to go first?
I can go first if you'd like. So my spank is I'm going to go for the city of St. Paul. I know we've been talking about Minneapolis and the elections. City of St. Paul, it's the time of year when cities, and people should be paying attention to this, by the way, they do their TNT meetings, Truth in Taxation meetings, where you can find out, a lot of people will just open up their property tax statement and go, what? Or, oh, that's not too bad.
Aw, dang.
But there's actually public meetings that take place with your city council. Where
Yeah,
you can
there are.
You can actually sit in,
That's 7
or
people,
you
though,
can
no.
talk to your city council about, like, they're going to say, here's the proposed tax increase, and you can actually weigh in. The city of St. Paul has the average residents are seeing between a 15 and 30% property tax increase. This is in the face of severely declining property values, especially in downtown St. Paul. Crime rates up through the roof. For example, the St. Paul Athletic Club was once a building valued at over $9 million. It's now being sold for $500,000. So not only is your value declining precipitously, but now they're going to increase your taxes by 15 to 30%. Residents of St. Paul, I just left. I'm sorry, I can't vote with you anymore. I feel for you. I want St. Paul. I love the city. I love the people of St. Paul. But you gotta get your city council and mayor. You gotta get them to understand they're focused on so many wrong things, and they should be focused on economic development, controlling costs. And by the way, it's winter, and I know what your streets are going to look like in just a few short days. St. Paul, you don't clean those streets. There's huge potholes. There's huge chunks of ice everywhere. Focus on some of that. So you are spanked. My thank goes out to, he's one of my favorite human beings, and he's at the state capitol. You're all going to know it when I hear it. No, not you. I'm sorry, not you. It'll be because I want to say thanks. So he is a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer for the Star Tribune, Glenn Stubbe. We have worked with him. He's done actually some very beautiful pictures of the podcast. He took some really amazing pictures during some election fun that we were having, some presentations and some commentary that we were doing, some debate commentary that we were having. He is just. If you see pictures of the Capitol in the Star Tribune and they take your breath away, or even just around the state of Minnesota, Glenn Stubbe captures Minnesota in a way that just makes me love it even more. And I think that's because I think he understands and loves the state, and you can see it in his art and in his craft. His talent is it's breathtaking to me. Besides the fact that he is just an all-around fantastic, kind, thoughtful human being, and he has announced that he'll be retiring, and it makes so I'm sad about that. But it can't be a spank, because he has given us so many years of beautiful pictures and good conversations. And so I have to say a big thank you to a real rock star behind the scenes, but get to know him. Google Glenn Stubbe and see his work that he does. It's really something amazing. And so I want to say thank you, Glenn.
Allison?
I'm very sad about Glenn, but excited for him. Retiring is good. So good for him. My think is actually, since we didn't we didn't have the podcast last week, so it's actually like a week and a half ago.
It's okay. Retro spank.
Yeah, my think is to South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace, who has introduced 2 transgender bathroom bill bans. And yes, that is a thank, because what it did has created significant airtime for the incoming first transgender Congresswoman from Delaware, Representative McBride, who got a ton of airtime on Sunday shows and national media and press to pivot the conversation to the things that she ran about the affordability of housing and infrastructure and meeting families where their needs are at, around ability to provide food, and just kind of those bread and butter issues. She did not run to be a transgendered issue-specific advocate. She was ready to go to Congress to serve the people of her district, to serve on the issues that she cares about. And it's not often that a first term yet to be sworn in representative would get that amount of press. So thank you, Nancy, for creating that opportunity for incoming Congresswoman McBride. And my spank is on the same theme to the Montana legislature. It's going to turn around into a thank, though, who also introduced a transgender bathroom ban. They have an existing member of the legislature who is transgendered. So there was going to be a bill introduced to construct 2 separate bathrooms using the bathroom of gender at origin, yada, yada, yada. But it failed. There were quite a few Republicans who joined with all of the Democrats in the legislature to not let that bill pass. So that is a spank think, and, transgendered issues and the kind of convoluted way that they were weaponized during the election were effective and challenging and harmful, and the Supreme Court is taking up transgender care for minors this week, and so just a lot of talk about it. But so thanks, Nancy McBride and the Montana Republicans.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'll be kind of brief with mine. My first is a spank of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who was dancing the night away at a Taylor Swift concert as very destructive riots were going on in Montreal. They were by pro-Palestinian, anti-NATO people. They were lighting things on fire, and Justin Trudeau was just dancing to "You Don't Own Me" is what they took video of. But you know what? It should be kind of it could be a thank for Justin, because he was not in blackface.
Oh, well, that's
this time. So it's kind of a thank. Yeah, you know what? You shouldn't be dancing at a Taylor Swift concert as there are riots in your country, but at least you weren't in blackface this time, you goober. And then my other spank is going to be to a bunch of people that work for the hospital in Duluth who are crying foul over a free Chick-fil-A lunch that was provided to them.
foul.
Huh?
Crying foul.
Crying foul. Oh, how could I have missed that?
I don't even know. I thought you did it intentionally. It was so bad.
Yeah, no. Did I say that?
You said crying foul.
Oh, I did. So I didn't miss it. I just never know. I don't even. I don't. It's not that I don't listen to you. I don't even listen to myself, evidently. But anyway, Essentia Health in Duluth issued an apology to its staff after distributing free Chick-fil-A sandwiches at its St. Mary's Medical Center. Some people were offended by that, and that necessitated an apology from people who did something nice. Chick-fil-A is delicious. I had Chick-fil-A for lunch today, in fact. It is amazing, and I think even our good friend Javier Murillo says Chick-fil-A is delicious, even if its chicken is controversial. So I get it. There's a lot of right-wing themes are associated with the ownership of Chick-fil-A, but probably almost all fast food places are going to be run by people you don't like. So eat the chicken and vote your people into office, because Chick-fil-A doesn't vote. But in any event, so with that, I am GOP strategist and Twin Cities Sugar.
Name's McDaniel, not McDonald. The wraps are Daryl's. The burgers are Ronald.
What?
Oh, God.
That's from a different podcast. Gabe wanted to play that. Because DMC from Run DMC.
Oh, I
understand it.
I understand.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean.
No, in this other podcast, I was called McDonald, and I had to give him the rap.
Oh, no. Amy Koch here.
Allison Leanne Nessie.
And we are
Wrong
about
everything.
that.
It was cool, Brian.
Thanks, Gabe.